summer reading wrap up, and it's the end of September, and the temperature today was so hot that there were heat index warnings for people to not mow their lawn. Hey readers, it's Lori. Welcome back to my channel, Books, Ink, and Paper. I'm happy to be back. This week has been tricky. I'm trying to work really long hours and read the contemporary-a-thon books that I chose and pop up another video. I got to get some content recorded this weekend. I am really behind. Anyway, so today's video is going to be a wrap-up of how I did on my summer TBR list. I posted that video around June when the summer solstice was coming around, and I said I was going to read this list of books by the equinox, by the fall equinox, which just actually happened a couple of days ago. So I'm going to share with you what I got read before that date occurred. I did pretty well, I would say. I'm pretty satisfied with the results, but there are a few books that went unread, and I'll tell you why. So let's get going. So the first book that I put on my summer TBR list was actually the last book that I finished. This is The Hazel Wood by Melissa Albert. I really did finish this the day before the fall equinox began. I finished it Sunday. So this is a fantasy young adult novel about a girl whose grandmother wrote a series of fairy tales that were highly beloved, creepy, dark, and twisty, and out of print. She never knew her grandmother and just remembers some really weird things associated with her. Meanwhile, she's been raised by her mom, who doesn't have any relationship with the grandmother, with her mother, and they move from place to place, and they're always sort of transient folks, nomadic folks, and she just sort of thinks of that as normal. And then one day, something odd happens. A series of odd things happen, and she starts to discover that the tales about the Hazelwood might be more real than she ever anticipated. I haven't rated this on Goodreads yet because I'm still trying to process it a few days later, but I will tell you that this is a beautifully written book. It was recommended to me by the Modern Mrs. Darcy, but has also gotten some pretty high recommendations on different booktube channels. It's not for everyone. It is somewhat confusing, but it is beautifully written. It is so rich in metaphor and in its treatment of the fairy tale tropes, and it's rich in story and unexpected twists and turns, dark and creepy story content. I really loved it. And so I guess, I don't know why I'm hesitating to rate it, but I really am, because I wasn't always sure what was happening, but I was always certain that I was enjoying it. So I definitely recommend it, but it's it has to be a pretty savvy reader, I would say. If you have young adults in your life and you're looking for something for them, they have to be pretty, I would say, pretty advanced readers to be able to appreciate this. Yeah, but it was great. So next I picked up this Nora Roberts trilogy. So I read all three. I did think that I would, and I did. So the first one was Dance Upon the Air. The second is Heaven and Earth, and the third is Face the Fire. I really liked Dance Upon the Air. And then I got to the second one, and part of why I didn't love this one so much is because I didn't love the girl. They have three women, three men, they all three connect. It's a typical romance trope. Nora Roberts trilogy romance tropes are always consistently the same. I loved the girl and the guy in the first one, so that helped. I really didn't like the girl in the second one, but I liked the guy, but it was just cheesy and weird. So this one, I think I gave 4 stars to, maybe. I think I did. 3 stars, and that was pushing it. 3 stars, and I almost didn't finish it. I liked the girl in this one better. I was done. I feel like I should have an award for finishing this trilogy. I've liked other Nora Roberts trilogies before, so it's not like they're not enjoyable to me, but this one was just, after the first, I could have been done with the first one and been happy, but I did say I was going to try to read all 3, and I did, and I feel good about it, and I like that they match, and all that weird book nerdy stuff is true. Then I picked up The Return Journey. Well, and not in a linear fashion, but I at some point started to look at The Return Journey in between those 2 books and just picked up some short stories here and there. I did not finish this one. I got 95 pages in. Let me just say, Maeve Binchy is really great at novels, but her short stories really left me longing. Most of them, for me, ended without being completely wrapped up. I didn't really get there. They were so short. I didn't really get much depth of character. And so I will tell you that if you read this, my favorites are The Homesitter and Mrs. Vogel's Vacation. And I think that was it. Most of them just really left me dry. They really, really did. But I do love Maeve Binchy. This didn't put me off of her, certainly, but I did just kind of get through, I would say, about half of that. And I'm okay with that. Waking Up in Paris was actually the first one that I think I attempted. Maybe not at the same time, maybe this one and another one. But I picked this up for a readathon, and the prompt for that readathon was purple on the cover, and I think it served a couple of different prompts. But I read this months ago, right after I made the video, and I loved it. I gave this one 5 stars, I think, and it's a memoir by Sonia Choquette. Sonia Choquette is a medium, and she does a lot of psychic spiritual work with people, but this book follows her move to Paris after her divorce and how she adjusted to the city of light and the ups and downs of that. She moved right after the Charlie Hebdo massacre, and there were some other terrorist attacks while she was there. It's very simply written, very vulnerable, very authentically Sonia Choquette, and I really appreciate her. And she has another memoir called A Long Way Home, or The Walk Home, or something like that. I'll post a link to it, which I have on my Kindle, and I've never read it, but I think I would really enjoy it. So I'm going to take a look at it. That one's about her walk through the Camino. So, yeah. Next, I finished Wait Till Next Year by Doris Kearns Goodwin. This is nonfiction as well. I still have a bookmark in here, several little things in here. I do that a lot. This is a memoir about her time growing up in Brooklyn during the 50s and her connection to baseball and to her love of the Dodgers, and how other friends were Giants fans, and how she grew up in this neighborhood, and how this connection with the Dodgers and her dad began. And it's lovely. It was really, really lovely. I gave it 4 stars as well. It's a nice nostalgic look at baseball in that age, and just how different it was then, and it's still very, very similar. She talks about getting cards signed by baseball players and meeting them at the beginning of the game. And honestly, you can still do that. Even, however famous those teams might be, they're still very connected to their fans, I would say. And she talks about her friends, the value of baseball to all of them, and just that well-knit community. It reminds me a lot of growing up in the Chicago area and rooting for the Cubs, even though it's a whole different state and a whole different team. I'm really excited that I finished it, and I listened to a good bit of it too, which was very, very fun because she read it herself. And then I have no more physical copies. I didn't bring this one out, but The Chicago Cubs, A Story of a Curse by Rich Cohen was the one book I didn't get to. Well, I didn't finish. Maeve, but I didn't get to that one. I just didn't have the capacity, but I do plan to read it, hopefully very, very soon, because it's on my want to read list for sure. And then finally, I finished Neighbourly by Ellie Monago or Monago. It's on my Kindle, and yeah, I liked this one. What's interesting about this book is the plot is really cool. Then it takes a turn that was a little uncomfortable for me at times. It's kind of a weird, I mean, it's probably a taboo trope, a taboo topic, but not terribly, I guess. Anyway, it follows a girl who moves to a new neighborhood. It's very affluent, very hard to get into. They purchase a house. It's a little beyond their means, her and her husband and her baby. The neighborhood is overwhelmingly welcoming, and they throw a giant party for newcomers all the time, and they do so for them, and they start to get to know people, and she's a little introverted and feeling a little uncomfortable. And then there's a backstory. There's just a couple of different perspectives of her perspective, and yeah, anyway, she discovers that she is getting these notes left for her. I know what you did is the first one, I think. And so she starts to get more of them and feels a little threatened. And then she gets to know the women a little bit more, and she finds out some things that she's not real comfortable with. And I gave it 3 stars. It was okay. It was all right. It was a good summer read, though. You know, barbecue parties and neighborhoods and going to the park with your kids. I mean, it was a good summer read. A lot of neighborhood drama. Like I said, it was very cleverly plot. I would say it was not a plot line I was expecting. I was surprised, quite frankly, by the way that it wrapped up. I think, was I surprised? I think so. Yeah. I mean, I think toward the end I started to figure out a couple of things, but yeah, I would say I was surprised. All in all, that's 7.5 books read out of the 9 books that I put on my summer TBR. I'm in the process of creating a fall TBR list now, since the fall equinox just happened a couple of days ago. I'm a little behind. Work has been really, really intense this week, so I'm hoping that I get a little bit of time, as I said earlier, to get ahead on my plans for the next quarter, or well, really the end of the year, and get some filming done and get some content up for you guys. You've been very, very patient. Thank you. I'm feeling much better. The lighting now is different because it's almost 7 and it's already almost dark here, so that's going to influence what I do. So I'm going to try to batch some videos this weekend, and one of those will definitely be my fall TBR. So I'm going to choose the fall equinox to Yule, to the December 21st, the shortest day of the year. And so that'll be the time frame of that. And again, I will be traveling a little bit during the next little while. So more on that later. All in all, I read 2,286 pages in these summer reads. 2 of them were nonfiction, which was really nice, and one of them was young adult fantasy, which was also fun because I don't read a lot in that genre. 3 romance, which is also a genre I don't read a lot of, and then 1 sort of a thriller, I would say, or psychological. Yeah, I would call that, I guess, a bit of a psychological thriller / contemporary, just contemporary thriller, maybe. Let's just go with that. Let's call Neighbourly a contemporary thriller. Oh my God, just make it easy. Okay, I am gonna go eat some dinner, have a little wine, read the book that I'm currently reading, and enjoy it immensely. I can't wait to start reading it again. Thanks for joining me. As always, I appreciate you. If you haven't already, I would love it if you would subscribe to my channel. Give me some feedback on what you're reading, what you like, if you've read these books. Just give me whatever feedback you want to give me. Click the little button at the top of the video to get notifications every time a new video is posted. Like and share with your friends. Interact with me on social media. recommend books for me if you'd like. I do have a couple of projects coming up, but I am thinking about what your favorite reads are and what I might want to pick from that list for my fall TBR. So if you do that quickly, that might work, or just for my next few lists that I pick up. I'm really going to focus hard on the rest of my top 9 in 2019 for the rest of this year, obviously. And I'm also going to focus really heavily in October on horror and thriller kinds of books. So that month is pretty much planned out, I would say, but I'm always open to looking at what you're reading and, any kind of book that is recommended to me that is really, really intriguing. I'm going to take a look. I'm also going to do a haul very soon because I think I'm done. Yes, I bought a few books this month. No, I didn't go crazy. That's a whole nother video, but I'll keep you posted. But as always, thanks again for joining me, and happy reading. Bye.